Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning for all of you. Alhamdulillah, we can meet again in our new material for today. Today we are going to learn about reported speech, or in other words, which is usually said as indirect speech. Okay. Uh, this material will be on your 8-day unit 4, I think. Yeah, so you can use this as material as preparation before you do the AT. First, I would like to tell you that for reported speech, we usually use it in everyday conversation also, whether you realize it or not. Okay. Now let's begin our material for reported speech or indirect speech. Okay, first let's take a look at the following slide. Okay, here first I would like to tell about several things that you need to know about indirect speech. First, about when do we use reported speech or indirect speech. Sometimes people tell us something, and in other occasion we also want to tell someone about something that people had told us about. Jadi kita pakai indirect speech ketika misal ada orang ngomong sesuatu pada kita, kemudian kita mau membicarakan hal tersebut kepada orang lain. Jadi ada orang pertama ngomong kepada kita, dan apa yang disampaikan kita sampaikan kepada orang lain. Oke. Makanya disebut sebagai indirect speech, atau istilahnya percakapan secara tidak langsung. Artinya maksudnya informasi yang disampaikan secara tidak langsung dari sumbernya, seperti itu. Okay. So when we use reported speech, okay, the second one is about the use of passive in indirect speech. So in indirect speech, we usually change the tenses. So we change the tenses based on when the people tell us about the information. Okay, jadi ketika kita menggunakan indirect speech, maka seringkali akan terjadi yang namanya passive. Kita pakai tenses yang lebih lampau daripada tenses yang digunakan ketika informasi disampaikan. Let's say sekarang saya ngomong pada Anda, I am hungry. Ya, sekarang kan. Nah, ketika informasi I'm hungry Anda sampaikan kepada orang lain, maka itu akan terjadi passive. Anda akan sampaikan itu dalam bentuk tenses yang berbeda, karena waktu informasi yang Anda dapat dengan yang akan disampaikan kepada orang lain itu berbeda. Yeah, that's called passive. So there is things called passive in indirect speech. Okay, we will learn about the passive for today's material. Okay, the passive especially on the tenses. Okay, the third one, that in indirect speech it is optional to use that. Okay, sometimes we can use it, sometimes not. It depends on you. So it's okay if you want to use that. If you do not want to use it, then it's okay. It doesn't really affect the indirect speech in general. For example, like this: direct speech, I like ice cream. You then want to tell this information to someone else. Then you, for example, tell to your other friends. She said that she liked ice cream. That's correct. But you can also say, she said she liked ice cream. So both use that and not use that are correct. So that is optional. Okay, that's it. Okay, now let's begin to learn or study or discuss the passive. Mainly for today we focus on the passive in the tenses. Okay, here we will discuss the passive in simple present, or present simple, present continuous, and present perfect in indirect speech. Okay. So when we passive present simple in indirect speech, it will be changed to past simple. So remember, in reported speech, present simple changed to past simple. Okay, then for present continuous, in reported speech, it will be changed to past continuous. And for present perfect, uh, change to past perfect. I hope you still remember the difference between the tenses. If you do not remember or you forget about the tenses, you will ask me what's different between this one and this one, because if I have to uh, discuss one by one, it will take too much time to discuss every single tenses here. So I will just give you some examples, and then you analyze the characteristic of each tenses so that you can understand, or at least you can get the point for each tenses. What is their characteristic? Okay, so here the passive of for three tenses: present simple, present continuous, and then present perfect, and the passive. Okay, first let's take a look at the following example. The passive for present simple. Present simple changed to past simple. I'll give you the example. For example, someone, the first person, one person, tell you about this information. I travel a lot in my job. Okay. Later, you want to tell this information to your friends, to, let's say, the third person. Okay. For example, the person who told you is Jamila. Jamila said that she traveled a lot in her job. Here, Jamila first tell you in present simple tense, and then when you said this information to your friends, you should use past simple. Okay. She traveled a lot in her job. Remember, the characteristic of present simple is the use of verb 1, while for past simple we use verb 2. It is indicated by AT, the additional of AT or D for regular verb. Okay. So here, as I said before, that is optional. You can erase it or not. It depends on what you want to use. Okay. For example, you want to use, instead Jamila, you want to use C. It is also okay. 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 She said that she traveled a lot in her job. It's also acceptable. Okay, that's the first passive. Present simple changed to past simple. Next, we will discuss this one, the passive of present continuous. When someone tell you about an information that use present continuous, then you want to tell the information to your friends, the third person, you should change the present continuous into past continuous. Okay, let's take a look at the example. The baby is sleeping. The first person told you this information, the baby is sleeping, present continuous, direct speech. When you want to tell this information to the third person, you should change to past continuous. He told me that baby was sleeping. He told me that the baby was sleeping. Secara apa namanya, bentuk kalimat sebenarnya kan nggak terlalu berbeda. Past simple, present continuous dengan past continuous. We just change the to be. Okay, is, to, was, something like that. And the characters of continuous, if you heard word continuous for a tenses, then it will use verb ing. Okay, so the backsafe of for present continuous is quite easy. We just change the to be in general. Okay, so let's take a look at the next example for the backsafe of present perfect. Present perfect in the indirect speech will change to past perfect. Okay, I have hurt my leg. This information is using present perfect. Present perfect karakteristik nya adalah ada penggunaan have kemudian verb 3. Okay, when you want to tell this information to the third person, you will use past perfect. She said she had hurt her leg. She said she had hurt her leg. Ciri dari past perfect itu ada penggunaan had kemudian verb 3 seperti itu. Jadi ketika indirect speech, please pay attention to the tenses that is used. Okay, jadi perhatikan pada tenses yang sedang digunakan oleh si speaker pertama. Mainly if you are dealing with tests, please pay attention to the tenses first. Whether the test or the sentence use present simple, present continuous, or present perfect, because each of them has different passive. But actually it's quite simple because one tense is only have one passive. Present simple, past simple. Present continuous to past continuous. Present perfect to past perfect. It's quite easy. What you need to do is just remember the characteristic of each tenses. Okay. Let's take a look at the next slide. The next passive for the next tenses. Okay, indirect speech in past simple and past continuous. Okay, now we will discuss about this. So in indirect speech, past simple usually change to past perfect simple. And then for past continuous, usually change into past perfect continuous. Okay, so actually in indirect speech, every single tenses, almost all of them, I will say almost all of them have the passive. There are some tenses who doesn't have the passive, but for most of them they have it. Okay, so let's take a look at the next passive for past simple. Okay, past simple change to past perfect simple. Okay, for example here, we lived in China 5 years ago. Okay, remember the characteristic of past simple is the use of verb to. Okay, and then for the indirect speech we use she told me that they had lived in China 5 years ago. If you pay attention, actually the passive of past simple is the same as present perfect. Present perfect change to past perfect, and then past simple also change to past perfect. They are the same actually. Okay, so you don't have to really confuse about that. But past simple and past perfect have the same passive, which is they change into past perfect. Okay, next for the past continuous, change to past perfect continuous. Remember the characteristic of past continuous, there is to be was, and then the verb in. It was raining all day, and then you want to share the information to other person, the third person. It will turn into he told me it had been raining all day. had been raining. This is the characteristic of past perfect continuous. Okay. Nah, okay. The next passive, indirect speech in past perfect. Okay. The past perfect is one of the special case of indirect speech. For past perfect, there will be no change at all. Okay, they will stay the same. If you have information, you get information from other person in past perfect form. When you tell this to the other person, it will remain the same. I mean the form of the tenses, it remains the same. I had tried everything without success, but this new medicine is great. And then you would want to tell this to other person. The tenses will be the same. He said he had tried blah blah blah. It remains the same. Okay. So no passive for the past perfect. No change. Okay. Okay. The next case for no passive in indirect speech is about if the information is still relevant or true, then you not to change. You don't change anything. But the things that you need to pay attention is it is true or still relevant. Okay. If you don't know, then you have to use passive. But if you are sure that this information is still true and relevant, then you must use no passive whatsoever. Jadi ada kasus lain ketika tidak terjadi passive adalah ketika informasi yang Anda dapatkan tersebut itu masih benar atau relevan. Oke. Atau Anda yakin itu masih relevan. Terutama misalnya case-nya orang yang beraktivitas sehari-hari kayak misalnya I go to school every day on foot. Nah, karena itu dilakukan setiap hari, itu kan mau disampaikan kapanpun, itu berarti still true. Then if you want to share information to other person, the third person, then you use no passive. Jadi nggak pakai passive sama sekali. Jadi seperti itu ya. Jadi ada passive, tidak jadi passive ketika informasi yang Anda dapatkan itu sifatnya informasinya still relevant. Misalnya contoh, salah satu passive yang mungkin yang misalnya saya bilang pada Anda, the sun is hot, ya kan, the sun is hot. Nah, this information itu true and relevant kapanpun disampaikan, ya. Jadi ketika informasi ini Anda sampaikan kepada orang lain, then there is no passive. Oke, jadi kira-kira begitu. How we use indirect speech, especially the passive for several tenses. Okay, if you pay attention to the sentence, there are also other passive actually, not on the tenses but in the pronoun. Jadi ketika kita pakai indirect speech itu ada passive lain yaitu berupa pronoun. Ya, misalnya contoh ini, I travel a lot in my job. I di sini berubah jadi she. Oke. Kemudian I have hurt my leg. Di sini jadi she. Contoh lain tadi. Nah, ini juga we jadi they. Ya. Nah, ini bagaimana penggantiannya? Ini tergantung pertama siapa dulu yang ngomong. Jadi misal nih yang ngomong misalnya saya, laki-laki kan, maka ketika disampaikan di sini akan jadi he atau Pak Ganjar told me atau Pak Ganjar said, seperti itu, ya. Terus kemudian subjek di sini akan berubah tergantung subjek yang ada di sini. Kalau we berarti jadi they karena banyak kan. Kalau I ini jadi I tergantung siapa yang menyampaikan. Kalau I ini yang ngomong tadi cewek, maka jadi she. Kalau cowok jadi he. Tinggal gitu aja. Ya, kalau we jadi they. Kalau misalnya you jadi I, seperti itu. Ya, jadi itu ada shift terkait pronoun. Oke. Nah, untuk Untuk sementara ini, for this meeting, we focus on the passive on several tenses. For the next meeting, I will focus on the passive on the pronoun or the change in pronoun, and also the time signal, and also for the different kind of sentence. If you take a look, actually for the example I provide you is most of them, all of them are positive. Actually, indirect speech can be in the form of negative or question. We will talk about that in the next meeting. Okay, for today we focus on the passive on several tenses. Okay, I want to resume for our meeting today. So this is what you need to remember, that to indirect speech is when we have one information from one person and we want to tell it to other person. First person tell us something, and then we want to tell that thing to the third person. Okay, and the second thing is in indirect speech there is a passive. The first one is on the tenses. And for other things, the changes will be also on the pronoun, in the time signal, which we will talk about later. Okay, and also in indirect speech there is the use of that, but it is optional. It can be used or not. Okay, both of them are correct. Don't worry. Okay, and what the other thing? One other things. You can use said. Yeah, for example, Jamila said or Jamila told me. Okay, jadi Anda bisa pakai said atau told, but the difference is kalau told Anda pakai told harus ada objeknya, yaitu Anda dan me, gitu kan. Jamila bilang pada saya seperti itu, atau Jamila said. Kalau pakai said, you don't need to use object like me, atau nama-nama yang lain. Kalau told harus, nggak bisa he told the baby, no. He told objeknya siapa, kemudian baru apa yang diomongkan, seperti itu. Kalau said langsung seperti itu. Okay, again that's all for today's material. If you have a question about this, please don't hesitate to ask me, because it's quite complicated. And then if you have an idea that I have not told you, then please share it to me. Maybe I forget something about this one. Okay, maybe you know and I haven't shared, or maybe I don't know that something you know. Okay, tell me. Okay, that's all for today. I'm sorry if there are some disturbance during the presentation of today's material. I'm very sorry. See you for the next meeting, and remember that for start from today we will have 2 meetings in a week. Okay, if in every meeting I will try to minimize the use of video conference, because I know that maybe some of you rely on the mobile data, so I don't want to make you consume too much data. And also by using this we can, like, review the materials better, because you can replay the video if you forget or you want to relearn something. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for your attention. For the next task or else, I will tell you later in our WhatsApp group. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.